Welcome, everyone. All right, I'm going to share the stream. So give me a second. Hold on. Give me like a minute as you settle into the space, open up, feel. Take a deep breath with me. How's everyone? Feeling. One more. Hoping that everyone has been enjoying the day, the week, the weekend, as these powerful frequencies continue to open up for us. Doesn't matter what you believe. It doesn't matter what you do or do not believe. This goes beyond our belief system. This goes beyond anything and everything that we thought. So just allow yourself in this moment with me to bring through, to receive more of these beautiful, light, crystalline, Christed frequencies that are here to stay, that are here to change everything, that are here to bring through more freedom in every way. And let me share a little bit of yesterday's quantum clearing with you guys as we wait a little bit more, just allowing you to be in this space with me. I'll be checking the chat a little bit in a little bit. So again, just taking a moment to breathe with me. Breathing in through your heart space. Breathing in through your solar plexus. Breathing all the way down into your root space. Taking a moment to be here with your body if you have not fully done so today. Especially if we were in and out and quote unquote busy or with other people. Just allow yourself to be here now. Allowing yourself to continue to breathe more consciously. Relax into your shoulders, relax into your arms, relax into your legs, relax your head space. Knowing that everything is inside of you. Allowing yourself to feel deeper levels inside of you. Again, opening up your heart space and opening up your shoulder blades, your entire back. Allowing yourself to jump and quantum jump in every way. And so continuing to breathe fully in this now. Anchoring deeper and deeper within your physical body. Opening much more and more to receive your own divine light. And allowing yourself to trust in your higher body and everything that is happening inside of you right now. Beautiful. So I'll end it there. Continuing to breathe, continuing to open up, continuing to allow. And I'll be coming back on video. If you want to stay here, you're more than welcome to just stay within this beautiful frequency and just listen. Just open up and allow. Here we go. Am I back on the camera? There I am. Does take a while. Interesting. All right. Wanted to bring through some of the visuals and the frequencies that we played with today in the quantum clearing. And oops. And I also wanted to open up this conversation and flow again with the energies that are coming through the death and the rebirth process. I talked about this in one of my last Facebook live stream, and so I feel like I need to also talk about this on YouTube until I'm able to stream on both platforms. Part of one of the reasons why this energy is coming through so strong is obviously because of the season and because of where we are, because it's Easter. And so we will go through a lot of these similar, like Yeshua, Christed energies, Christed themes, all of these things. And I myself have been going through the death and rebirth process for, well, it's been years actually. And I mentioned this also when I started to go through this process much more consciously. And I started to tune into or recognize the different phases that you go through. I started to recognize the same phases, or I started to recognize those same phases even way before I went through my spiritual awakening. And so it was really fascinating to me to know that we go through, or we've been going through the death and rebirth process for a really long time. In fact, forever, probably. And I also had this really interesting experience witnessing what felt like one of my little students who was like, I think she was 6 at the time, going through this process. And in fact, it was on her birthday. It was on her birthday, and I started to notice some things and some shifts in her character that really just spoke loud to me about spoke death and rebirth. And so I felt like she was also going through her own death and rebirth. This is all ages. This is everyone. This is, no matter where you are, no matter what you believe, no matter what age you are, this is an ongoing process for every single one of us, even kids. And so again, it was very fascinating when I started to see that I've been going through this process even before I knew what was going on, even before I had woken up, even before I knew any of this. And so as you continue to open up and as we continue to go through deeper levels of this, it's going to be really important to start pinpointing and start recognizing, okay, This is where I am. I'm in my death process right now, or I'm in my rebirth process, or I'm in the in between process of like dissolving into nothingness, but not yet becoming everything. And so I used to share that part of that just felt very zombie like, very like unemotional. It's almost like you're not really there yet. You don't know, you don't really know where you're at. You're you're not super confused. It's just you're just in this, there's not a lot going on. You are in the in-between phases and you're also in the rebirth phase as well. So when we talk about death and rebirth, this is the death of the old, the death of your ego aspect, the death of um, your old version, and rebirth. This is the rebirth of yourself as a soul light. Okay, so when you feel like you're not yourself, when you feel like I'm just not myself, I'm acting out of character, I'm, it's this weird, bizarre feeling. You're going through this process because the ego aspect is what attaches, is what holds this identity. And it also is where our a lot of like personality uh, is held in. This isn't to say that we don't have a personality. When those ego aspects dissolve, we have a personality, and we're still going to be this peculiar whatever we come to be, but it's going to be much more from this soul light aspect, meaning that it's going to be different. You're not going to be in this ego aspect personality that wanted attention, that was needy, that was, sucking the energy of others, that was in this hurtful, traumatized space. Because that's mostly that's where the ego functions from. As that ego dissolves, you're going to be able to come back or rebirth as more of your soul. And it's gonna, the way that you flow, and um the way that you are becomes, I'll throw in a few examples. You're going to be much more confident, but from this light aspect. You're going to be much more stable inside of you. You're going to be much more able to say things, express things from your higher self light. You're going to be able to maintain your light instead of functioning from your fear and or lack. So, and in that same description, you're gonna be able to pinpoint when ego comes through, when this little tiny, or however much of your ego comes through, you're gonna be able to pinpoint it right away. And it really is just for recognition purposes. Like, oh, I see this. I see this aspect. I see you coming in. Okay, what's going on? What's the need? What's the lack? What's the fear based? What's the fear theme or theme program going on? And as you recognize that, your body is able to shift you back into body. Because remember, when you're in your ego aspect, you're not fully in, you're not as, you're not in the body, in your body as much as you need to be. You've kind of broken off. And this whole death and rebirth process is about you coming back into your body. It's about you allowing yourself the opportunity to be more anchored inside of your body. And as you continue to become more anchored, focus more on your breathing, you're going to start to see and feel this new version of yourself that is much more stable, much more balanced, much more confident within your body. And it's an ongoing process because every reality shifts and every person that you're in activates something else and activates something different. So it's very interesting just to observe yourself as you kind of come in and out, as you notice ego energy or fear come in and be activated. The more light that you are able to anchor, which is what happens as you rebirth, the easier it is to navigate, the easier it is to navigate through these realities and these different processes. Hi, welcome. If you're here, would love to say hi, acknowledge you. And if you guys have been going through this process too, you're more than welcome to share as well. When we're in the death process, the death of the old, the death of ego self, there's going to be a lot of emotions. You're going to go through this almost feels like this never-ending roller coaster of emotions. It's like up and down, up and down. Know that that's a really normal part of this process, because as those ego aspects start to dissolve, you're going to have to open yourself up to feel so many emotions that were trapped inside of this ego aspect. It's not going to be one emotion. It's not going to be two emotions. It's going to be like a gazillion emotions that this particular ego aspect was had buried inside. We don't quite understand just how deep this goes until you go into the depths of this, into the depths of your ego aspects, and you start to realize that the amount of emotions, ego emotions, heavy emotions that were trapped within this aspect run very, 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 very deep. You are going to be surprised at some of these emotions or some of the thoughts that come through, some of the words that come out of these aspects. They're going to seem unlike you. And that's also really, really, really normal and really important to open yourself up to, because there's so many ego aspects that we haven't fully connected with, that we don't know exist. And so as you continue to open up and connect to these aspects, you're going to start to hear these aspects say things and also do things that you probably have never consciously said or thought or done. It's very normal, because a lot of these aspects are really trapped inside and are deeply buried, that we had no recollection, we had no consciousness that they even existed. And everything that was inside, everything that was stuck inside of this aspect will seem very foreign to you. And it's normal. The biggest thing is to feel everything and connect to everything as the energy that it is, so that you can allow this energy just to continually flow, to continually release, to continually be transmuted, transformed by the light that you are allowing in through your breath, right? Through that conscious breath, conscious breathing. When I started deep in this process, I started to journal a lot. I started to write. I started to just let a lot of these words, energies, expressions out through writing. And once I got really going, I started to notice words were coming out of me that were very unlike me. Expressions were coming out of me that I've never like consciously said out loud or even in my mind. And I started to realize just how disconnected I had been all this time to my mental body. It was a deep, deep disconnect. Well, actually, I was disconnected too. We're disconnected from everything. We are disconnected from our mental body, emotional body, and physical body. However, each person will have different levels of those separations. So sometimes I'll go through like, like percentages. So while I was like 30% more disconnected to my mental body than maybe like my emotional body. But then if I go back, I'm also going to be like, oh no, I was also very deeply disconnected from my emotional body too. It wasn't easy for me to show emotion. So everything was just like so trapped inside and so buried inside. And the way that it would come out was very unconscious. So anyway, when I started to journal more and more and more, this is when I started to open myself up to everything that was so deep, deep, deep inside of my own mental body. And again, there were so many things that I started to write, that I started to just let out that were very new. Like they were new to me. I was not aware that I had all that stuff, that I was thinking all that stuff inside of me. And when those moments would occur, that's when I started to hit like the deep emotions, the deeper level, not the deeper levels of emotion, but I started to hit levels of like emotion. So me writing all of this down got me to a very emotional state. And it was like, now it was time to go through the emotional release. So first it's the mental release, right? Because I was writing and journaling. That was part of my mental release. And then that triggered the emotional release. So then for the most part, I would like stop writing and then go into all of these emotions that started to come out of me, all of these emotions that started to like, activate inside of me. And I remember this was, it was a days process, just days, just all day writing this stuff. Now, some of the stuff that sometimes I feel better to do is like, it feels like a little extreme, but I knew that in that moment it was very necessary for me. So you'll have your phases where you'll be like, okay, this is it. I'm going all into this, until you come into a place where much more relaxed. You release a lot of things. Now, please go out and play. Now go out and do something else. And then you'll go through those moments of like, okay, this is it. Like the sleeping phase, or the super, super exhausted phase. Like there's nothing else that sometimes my body will ask me to do but just sleep and rest. And that's it. especially when I have absolutely no energy for anything else. Even going to the bathroom or getting up to get something to eat is exhausting beyond belief. So then I have to come back, right, and just honor that phase. But remember that all of these phases come and go. So they do become this kind of this roller coaster, this like wave of they shift. Everything shift, everything changes. Nothing is meant to stay the same. However, if you've noticed yourself in that like groundhog kind of energy, then there is a deeper layer of resistance energy that you probably will need to go into, because the ego is very easily attached to anything. And so, even this process, the ego will even attach two layers of this process. And so, it will find its little comfort zone, it will find its little safety net, and it will stay in that process longer than it needs to. So, allowing yourself to open up to this and allowing yourself to just kind of feel deeper levels of this so that you can continue to, um, so that you can recognizing the patterns, or recognizing if you're in this phase for what might feel like too long. um, Open yourself up to where's the resistance, right? Where am I still blocking myself from fully completing this phase? And just breathing more light, feeling deeper levels mentally, emotionally, physically, and energetically, so that your body can kind of complete that phase and then move on, kind of thing. So that's more of like the death process. The in between phase, I haven't talked about the in between phase, but the in between phase is this also very like, um, it feels like this void, this emptiness, where you might have no energy, you might have no motivation, no inspiration, no desire to do anything. The things that you used to love, you're not finding that spark to do anymore. You're not finding it's not even enjoyable anymore at some level. You're in a very deep, you're like in the void phase. Um, you're also in this rebirth process. The rebirth process, and it's so interesting because it's the death and rebirth process also occurs so simultaneously, right? This is not linear. It's very quantum. You're going through both of these experiences at the same time. And all of these experiences will, you'll feel differently, and you'll feel all of these different things. When you are going through the death process, this is a dissolution of everything you knew or thought you were. Again, the identities of personalities, even your desires, even your needs and wants dissolve, because everything that was latched to the ego needs to dissolve. So everything will start to dissolve. And as you continue to go through this tunnel, this passageway, like this birthing canal, you will feel like this void, this emptiness. However, you're in a space where you need to be completely emptied out before your light can start to come in, before you can allow your soul to be rebirthed. And even as your soul starts to rebirth inside of you, which by the way, you will go through bloating, so much bloating. Sometimes we call it Buddha bellies. it's like you're being impregnated with your light, and you're pregnant with your own soul. So it's quite the experience when you start to really blow up and look like you're pregnant. You really do look like you're pregnant, and you'll go through so many of the similar pregnancy symptoms that women go through, regardless of whether you have a female body or a male body. You will go through these sensations. You are rebirthing yourself as a soul, physically. And so as that process continues for you, you're going to continually feel very very strangely. I joke around with uh, um, one of my friends. She's always asking, how are you feeling, how are you doing? And so I share a lot of these things because she's actually really really open, really awake. And so I don't remember when I shared this, but I was like, feeling a lot better. I'm feeling a lot like, I know a little bit of where I am. I know a little bit more like where I am and who I am. But it was this very, I think this was last month, where it literally was like, who am I? Where am I? What is this? What is going on here? You will feel like that. And just know that it's very normal. This is a normal part of the process. The more that you allow yourself to just be in this, to just honor it, to just allow it, the faster that phase goes. Now, it's all relative. For me, it probably took maybe a week or two. For some people, it might take longer. For some, it might take shorter. Everything's relative and everyone's different. So just open up to that. Again, if you feel this prolonged, like weeks on or months, then allowing yourself to feel deeper levels of your resistance, or deeper levels of whatever energy is inside of you that might be prolonging this, and even feeling into your body and asking what's going on. Why is this a little bit longer than I feel? Because there's a purpose to everything. Everything has a purpose. Everything has a higher 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 meaning. And everything is supporting you. You just have to continually open yourself up to this process, which is not linear, which is not, it's not super comfortable at times. It's not this, oh, every time it's the same, and every time it feels the same, and every time, it's like in the same sequence. No, it's quantum. Quantum means it's going to go all over the place. It's going to take you to all of these different directions, in all of these different directions all the time. So the rebirthing process, it's you rebirthing into a soul. You starting to learn how to function as a soul, starting to become more present. Everything starts to slow down, right? You become more aware of the things around you. You become more aware of what's going on. You become more particular with your energy too, your environment, right? All of these different things. And you are in the process of relearning how to do everything. You relearn how to be. That's the first and most important thing, which is being with your breath, being inside of your body. Okay. We don't know how to do that. We don't know how to be. Everything was this fast pace. Everything was be in your head, the protection mechanism. The fight or flight response was always active. It was always this prepare, be on guard, detach from your body. And so as you continue to go through through the death, the dissolution of those aspects, you're going to start to feel a little bit better about being here, a little bit more comfortable being in your body. You're going to start to value the being state, the value consciously breathing differently. That's going to be way more valuable than you getting things done, than you doing things very quick or accomplishing all of these things or getting all of these things done. That was your old way. That was the old me. Now it becomes, now you start to become someone else and someone that values the being state much, much more than before. So breathing becomes very, very important. Being within your reality, being present with where you are and what you're doing becomes really, really important. Mm. You become much more present with pure frequencies, nature, animals, kids, all of these things bring so much light in you that the moment that you start to hear them, the moment that you come into the present, physical presence with them, like everything else disappears. Everything just no longer exists. You and the birds, you and the trees, you and the sky, in that moment are the only thing that matters. Are the only thing that matters. Are the only things that matter. Everything else just kind of goes away because you recognize that you becoming fully present in that moment allows you to anchor deeper into that beingness and allows you to anchor deeper into that loving space. That's the 5D space. That's the new earth. That's your heaven inside. And it's available at any moment, and it's becoming more available now and now and now, which is why it's so important to allow yourself to go through these phases and go through these processes, because you're going to start to realize and recognize how your heaven is starting to come out more. It starts to come out to play more. It starts to come out to be with you. This is an ongoing process. I know I talked about how this might have been something um, a little bit more prevalent within this month because of the Easter frequencies, but this is an ongoing process. In fact, this actually activated it even more. So we're going to continually go through these deaths and rebirth processes at a deeper level from now on. Well, from now until the rest of the year, until we kind of go back into that. But it's going to be really interesting how all of this evolves, how this holiday will evolve, how everything we celebrated will evolve. It's going to be interesting how that all evolves because it will, and as will everything. Um, and so just allowing yourself to go with the flow. A lot of this is just going with the flow. The shifts and the changes that are coming through are inside of you. They have to continually happen inside of you before you start to see them more in the physical. So it's interesting because a lot of the things that I connected to within my own internal story about the collapses of all of these different things are now going to start to become more, are going to start to happen more in the physical. So allowing yourself to continually allow all of these the old structures, the old programs to continually dissolve inside of you, which by the way, this is also part of what happens as the ego continues to dissolve, because the ego is what holds these structures in place. As more of your own ego dissolves, as more of your own separation dissolves, all of those structures start to come down. So we're going to continually see this ongoing collapse, 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 collapse. However, it's really important to not get caught up with how you think this is going to be, or how you think things are going to be like, or how they're going to occur. I feel like right now, because everything inside of us is shifting and changing so fast, we ourselves are shifting how things are going to occur really, really fast. It's almost like I feel like we're at the movie theater, like watching, like in with anticipation. Oh, sorry. Oh, that broke. Talking about breaking and collapse. Oh, okay, this is breaking. Okay. My little cord. Ah, yes, cords need to break. So that's a good sign. Um, we're in the movie theater and we're watching, right? A lot of these things occur and we're like in this anticipation, semi excited, semi anxious about how this movie is going to end. And there's so many things shifting. Like there's so many, it's almost like we're putting a pause and play, pause and play, pause and play. Like there's this sense of the ending is not going to be like the way that we think, which by the way, it's never the way we think, ever, ever, ever. Um, and so we're like, we're sitting at the edge of our seats in the movie theater, just kind of like, when are things going to end and how are things going to end and how are things going to play out, and we're just kind of like, in this anticipation, semi anxiousness, not fully recognizing that we ourselves are the ones that are projecting, like we're the ones that are projecting out this movie. And because everything is changing inside of us, that's also creating so many different changes and plot twists and like smoothness as well in this movie. Now, everything is relative. I know there's been a lot of things happening, all around the world that are hard crashes, hard collapses. Um, the whole earth is moving, all the elements are shifting, all the planets are shifting too, which is going to bring through even more of this more, it's like this revolutionary energy. However, the more that we allow that energy, the more that we allow ourselves to feel that energy deeper and deeper inside of us, the more we as individuals, each person is going to continually dissolve and resolve deeper layers of those energies so that we're not caught up in the brutality of everything. Okay, this isn't to say that some people, this isn't to say that everyone's going to go through that. No, there are going to be many people that are needing, that are going to choose that and they're going to go through that. However, because everything is changing and because everyone is continuing to open up, this feels like it's going to allow different shifts. So the shift to happen in a different way than we probably thought. So again, it's instead of just allowing yourself to just be glued to this seat and just in anticipation of what's to come, allow yourself to go out and play. Don't stay within the movie with like glued to the screen. In a matter of speaking, allow yourself to go out because heaven is coming through, new earth is coming through more and more and more and more, and it's inviting us to play in it. It's inviting us to be in that energy. The old does not need our energy anymore. We just need to continue to feel it. But we don't have to be locked up in that movie theater just waiting, right? Let's go out and start playing. Let's go out and play and sing and dance and be present with the body, be present with that reality, because the old one has an expiration date. The old one is it's just a matter of time, really. And it's going to be up to each and every single individual to allow the collapse, a deeper collapse inside. We're the ones that allow the collapse inside. And that's really where it matters most. That we continue to just feel, right? Allow more light to come, shift everything. Let your light shift everything. You're not alone. The ego has this mentality that it has to do everything on its own, that it has to do everything, that it has to know how to do everything. But allowing yourself the opportunity to shift into my light is here, my soul light is here. Can I open myself to a different way? Can I open myself up and allow the light to take over? Can I allow my light to bring me into a space that makes this simple? Allowing yourself, your ego, your linear mind to come out of the driver's seat and let it rest. Let yourself feel that a little bit more, because you can't fully feel your ego, your linear mind, and all of these energies and thoughts when your ego is still in the driver's seat. It has to step down. That's how you start to feel deeper levels of this energy, right? So allowing, breathing, coming back to the body. It's going to be most important now. How hard we choose this is up to us. I'm not going to say that feeling all those emotions is super easy and is super comfortable and it's a walk in the park, because it's not. It's deep and it's messy and it's uncomfortable and it's going to hurt. It's painful. Your body does go through a lot of pain, but that's also how it breaks. So allowing yourself to honor the pain, honor the discomfort, honor all of these emotions that are coming out of you is super, 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 super important. Nothing becomes more important than that. And it might be a little uncomfortable when you're out in public or you're out in a setting and it's like these things come out. In fact, that happened to me today. And I had to allow enough of those emotions to come out. Allowing everyone else to just, like not worry about anyone else or not worry about whether people are see me or not see me. Like something got triggered inside of me. Sometimes you'll know what it is. Sometimes you won't know what it is. Sometimes it won't make sense. In fact, a lot of the times it won't make sense why you're feeling these things and you won't even know where they came from. But the more that you allow yourself to be super present with them, more and more present with them within your body, that's the biggest key. Because you can feel something and be out of the body. You can feel something from your head. Now it's time to be in the body while you're feeling all of these things. Which, by the way, add a layer of like depthness. It's going to be a little more deep. But the deeper you go, the higher you float. The deeper you go, the more you will break free. The deeper you go, the more you'll start to access more of that peace space inside of you, which is super, super, super important. Hi, Forest. I'm feeling like that right now after exercising for sure. I'm feeling like that. What's like that? Sorry, there's so many things that I say, and I know there's a little lag time. So, how are you feeling exactly? After exercising, I'll give you a moment because there is a lag time. I didn't realize how much the lag time was. It's not much, but it is. It is what it is. Feeling the depthness, maybe. Feeling the emotions. Feeling muscle stretched and tiredness. Okay. Oh, okay, okay, yes. When things stretch, there's a level of discomfort, there's a level of pain, there's tiredness too. This is also part of the reason why we'll go through these exhaustion phases too. Because as more and more and more open up and stretch, the heaviness starts to release. And when that starts to release, that's when you start to notice just how heavy your load was, how heavy um, the burden was. And it's like, oh, I need a rest because I've been carrying all this stuff for so long, not noticing and not realizing my body needs rest now. Our mind needs to rest, our body needs to rest, right? All of these different things. And so glad that you're honoring, glad that you're feeling it and able to recognize it. Really, really, really important. Um, we're going to go through all sorts of things with the body. You're going to feel all sorts of things. You're going to experience all sorts of things. So just because it doesn't make sense, or just because you don't know exactly what's happening, exactly what's going on, doesn't mean that there's something wrong. In fact, it means the opposite. It part of what that is you're breaking out of the comfortable space, like the comfortable comfort zones. When something's uncomfortable, remember that you're breaking out of your own comfort zones. When you break out of your own comfort zones, is you're breaking out of your own self-imposed, accepted subconsciously, in a way, limitations, unconscious, conscious, and subconscious limitations that kept you in this safe zone, that kept you in this box. So when things get uncomfortable, there's a mind shift that has to happen, that at some level will happen, at some point will happen, where you start to feel this, oh, okay, I see what's happening. I'm breaking out of my comfort zone. Yay! Get excited. Stay wide open to it. The more that you allow yourself to become comfortable in that uncomfortableness, the more you allow yourself to be more open about those phases, or more comfortable in those phases, that is huge. Huge, 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 because we never were. Every time something got uncomfortable, and something happened that we felt out of control, we automatically shut ourselves down. We automatically, you know, left the body. We automatically try to stop it. We automatically resisted that. And so all of us at some level are becoming more and more comfortable in the uncomfortableness, in these shifts and changes that are happening and occurring right now. And that is a huge quantum jump for every single one of us, actually, that we need to honor and we need to be really excited for. Because the more that we are in this, it's like we're being trained, we're being prepared. We're being prepared to become much more balanced and more stable in those uncomfortableness and those shifts. Okay. The more we become, the more comfortable we become in, our own, in the uncomfortableness of our own realities and the uncomfortableness of our own bodies. And we're able to just honor the process, and we're able to just kind of come back into that peace space inside. The easier that becomes when and as everyone starts to experience those shifts, like the reality shifts, or like the more quote unquote external shifts. So everything's preparing us right now. Everything is preparing us to become much more stable, to become much more confident, to become much more of our light, because that is how we're going to flow through these changes that will continue to be present in our society, in our realities, in our homes, in our lives. So taking that in, breathing that in, really allowing yourself to breathe in those moments. Sometimes you might feel like you're in this small little boat, right? In this storm or wave. And so if you're in a boat during this storm or wave, it does feel like, oh my God, very rocky, very unstable, dangerous, all of these different things. But allowing yourself to become comfortable in those moments shifts you out of those moments, meaning that right now, like the visual that I'm getting is you'll be able to shift from this small, rocking boat to like a bigger boat. I've actually seen like a super big boat, like a yacht, or like actually not like a yacht, like a cruise line, like a really, really big boat. Meaning that if you're in a boat this big and you're going through a really big storm or even waves, it's not going to feel as rocky, as shaky. Does that make sense? Like allowing yourself to be in this bigger space where you can go through this ride a lot smoother is super, super, super important. And so probably gonna wrap it up here soon. Thank you for being and thank you for sharing, Forrest. Whoever is still here or has popped in at some point, thank you as well. Um, I'm going to continue to open up these quantum clearings because I realize this is also one of the things that I enjoy the most. It's actually also kind of how I got started in a lot of in like deeper levels of this. Um, it's an opportunity for all of us to connect together, open up together, expand together, and clear together, which I know supports a lot too. So I'll be sharing the new schedule soon for those that might feel the call and might well feel the call to join us. Oh, you're welcome. Thank you as well, Forrest. So I'll be sharing some of that. I do want to continue to come here as and just go with the flow as much as possible as far as like the frequency. Interesting, the frequency of how often I come out. Um, but I did feel the call to come and talk a little bit about that here because I know um, not everyone is on my Facebook. Not everyone is or not might not be friends. We might not be friends. We might not. We might not be friends, or you might not be in that space. Not every. I know everyone is not in Facebook, and so I wanted to open up to doing it here on YouTube, opening up that space, and and support in some way, and of remind you that you're not alone. First and foremost, remind you that when you do go through all of the things that I mentioned, it's a very normal part of this process. And it's about time to start opening up more about this process and share more about this process so that you can start to honor it more, flow with it more, embrace it more. And at some level, it does become this new norm. It's this new normality. We're no longer as afraid. We're no longer as resistant. We're no longer as scared of it. We're no longer in this, sense of suffocating or in this deep sense of protection mechanism while we go through it. The more we open up to it, the more conscious we become of it, the more we start to breathe through it, the simpler it becomes and the easier it is to flow with it. So, with that being said, thank you as well. Sending you much, much love, huge wave of peace, happy everything, as always. And I will see you guys when I see you. Take care.